Our gospel this evening is a reflection of Jesus on murder, pagpatay. I don't know if you have heard these lines. Nagdilim ho ang paningin ko pagkarinig ko sa sinabi niya, nang mahimasmasan ako, napatay ko na pala siya. My mind blacked out after hearing what he said. And when I came to, I didn't realize I had killed him already. Alam niyo ho, it is not unusual to hear lines like these from people who have committed murder, all because they had felt offended by some remarks made by their victim. This is one mystery I wish I can get to understand better about the human psyche, about the kind of things that can drive people to violence. They can be remarks that hurt the sensibilities and cause people to behave viciously or even murderously towards the one who uttered them. Kuminsan gusto kong makipag-FGD with a group of judges who have handled cases of murder that have been triggered by anger over a remark that had so offended the perpetrator. Nung bata pa ako, I remember being told by elders that whenever I found myself walking in a forested area, in a wasteland, or out in the bushes, kailangan daw, habang naglalakad, I must announce my presence to the spirits by saying, "Tabi-tabi po." I'm sure you experienced that already also. It is our way of saying, "Dear unseen spirits, I am just passing through or passing by. You see me, but I don't see you. I am afraid I might step on you, or I might cause you harm or injury without intending to. If I do so, please forgive me. I am announcing my presence so that you can avoid me if I accidentally cross your path." Well, nowadays, we tend to dismiss customs like these as pure superstitions, as a remnant of our pagan past or our animist past, our animist culture. Pero para sa akin, there is something beautiful, something very humane about this. Namely, that we must consciously avoid hurting any of our fellow creatures, whether visible or invisible, as we go our way. Now, if we can be sensitive, if we can be considerate to unseen creatures, how much more with fellow human beings? This seems to be the point that Jesus is making in today's gospel, in his reflection on the fifth commandment, "You shall not kill." And if I may paraphrase it, parang ganito ang sinasabi niya, "But I say to you, you shall avoid provoking people to violence." Sometimes, I ask people to repeat what they heard from the gospel, like the line that Jesus said about offering one's gifts. Sometimes I just say the first line and ask the people to complete the sentence. Oh, let's try it. Anong sinabi ni Jesus? "If you bring your gifts to the altar, and there remember," what? Ano yung kasunod? "If you bring your gift to the altar, and there remember that you have a grudge against somebody." Yun ba yung sinabi ni Jesus? That you have something against your neighbor. Almost always, people say, oh, that's it. And I say, no, you did not listen well. People usually do not even notice that I turned the statement around. That it is not about me bearing a grudge against another, but rather about another person bearing a grudge against me. When I say this, I usually get reactions. Siya palang may problema eh. And what if I don't even know that he's angry? I may have caused offense without intending it. But how can I do anything about it? Kundi naman niya sabihin sa akin. Yan ang ating common excuse. It's not me. It's he who has an issue. Hindi ako, siyang may issue. And St. Paul is warning us about this. Talaga ba? Hindi mo alam na may issue sa sayo? Bakit? Hindi mo ba siya naobserbahan? Iniiwasan ka niya? Obvious ba? That is why St. Paul is warning us about the toxic nature of anger and resentment. Ang sabi niya, if you are angry, and this is in Ephesians 4, verse 26, kung magalit ka, huwag mong hayaang dalhin ka sa pagkakasala ng galit mo. If you are angry, do not let it lead you to sin. Anger itself is not a sin. Ano bang masama sa magalit? Tao lang naman talaga tayo. It's an emotion. But, it can lead us to sin. Kailan? Abay, kapag kinimkim natin. When we nurse it. When we brood over it. Sa Tagalog, we call it pagtatanim ng galit. Well, if you plant it, you have to be ready to reap its fruit. And one of the most common fruits of anger and resentment is murder. And so Jesus is dealing with the fifth commandment about murder by addressing it from its very root. Ang pinagmulan niya, that the violence that we can commit against our neighbor does not begin when we actually do it, but when we begin to nurse anger. Pag nagtanim na tayo ng galit, is there anything we can do about it? Of course. Sabi ni St. Paul, do not let it linger in your heart until the following day. Huwag mo daw hayaang manatili hanggang bukas ang galit mo. And then he follows up and says, do not give the devil a chance to work on you today. But more importantly, we must help those who might be languishing in the dark prison of anger and resentment. Yung iba, hindi na makawala. Hindi lang one day kinikimkim. Yung iba, isang linggo na, isang buwan na, isang taon na, 10 taon na, kinikimkim pa rin. Prisoners. One time, I approached a friend who I noticed was avoiding me. Iniiwasan ako. Ni hindi ako matignan sa mata. I reached out to him and I asked, galit ka ba sa akin? Are you angry with me? And it took a while before he could say it. But he was already in tears as he recalled something that I had said that deeply offended him because he felt na siya yung tinutukoy ko, that he was being alluded to. Nagulat din ako, and I said, oh no, I did not even have you in mind when I said that. Oh, I'm so sorry if what I said offended you. Almost instantly, nabura siya. It was more than enough to liberate him. And I don't know how long na kinikim-kim niya. But that was more than enough to liberate him from his resentment. Siguro, if I had ignored the signals and just reasoned out, ano bang pakialam ko? I don't care if he avoids me. What did I do anyway to deserve a cold shoulder? That would have killed a good friendship altogether. Now you understand why Jesus says, you have heard it said, you shall not kill. But I say to you, huwag kang magtatanim ng galit. Because that's the beginning of killing.